Greetings, Cleveland, and good morning. Welcome back to your favorite show, Good Day with Olivia, here on the KAZ Radio and Television Network. I'm your host, Olivia Winster, here to serve up the good news happening right here in the city of Cleveland, and as always, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Cleveland, let's talk about addiction. So many people here in our city and throughout our nation are struggling with or are affected by addiction. So many of us ask, how do we beat it? And where do we begin? Regardless of how or where we begin, let's start today, Cleveland, and let's begin with a positive attitude. In the studio today, I have a very special guest, the man who can, here to boldly share his story of how his positive approach to beat addiction and take reign led him to recovery. I'd like to welcome to the studio, Howard Singleton. Howard, welcome to the studio.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. It's so busy this morning. So apparently, Air Force One is about to land here at the Burt Lakefront Airport. I had no idea. Secret Service were stopping me at the door. I couldn't get to the studio this morning. But it's a lot going on down here. So I'm so happy you were able to make it out. And I was so happy we were both able to make it through the door. Well, Howard, let's start with a few questions about your background here in Cleveland. Are you a Cleveland native?
Yes, I am. I was born and raised here in Cleveland. In the Huff neighborhood. I was born on 66 in Chester, actually. Then my parents moved to 82nd in Superior area. So I'm born and raised right here in Cleveland, Ohio.
Did you go to MLK? You were from...
No, actually I went to St. Thomas Aquinas.
Ah.
And I lived across the street from East High, so a lot of my friends all went to public school. And so that was an adventure in itself. That was good for me. I played muni football here in the Cleveland area for Bob Harris and Pal 5. I played basketball, junior high school, high school.
What do you do here in the city today?
Today I work for Volunteers of America. I work for the Veterans Family First program. I'm the outreach worker there in their program. And what we do there is assist veterans with financial help. Homeless veterans, should I say.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that now for 7 months.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty.
And, yeah.
How did you get involved with Volunteers of America?
Oh.
The opportunity present.
How did that opportunity present? Well, during my addiction, I had a good friend of mine, and she said she don't mind me using her name. Her name is Miss Sonia Tompkins. And she was the director there at the VOA domiciliary at Wade Park. And she told me during that time that if I ever get myself together, that an opportunity will occur for me there at Volunteers of America, working in a domiciliary. So I went back to school and went for vocational school for general maintenance and janitorial service, and I ended up going also for food service so that I could be, a good candidate for employment there.
Wow. What has your experience been like in the city of Cleveland?
I've had a great experience here in the city of Cleveland. This is my home. This is where I tend to always stay and be. I have a lot of connections here in Cleveland. One of the connections that I have is family oriented. And I told my brother that I would plug it. It's Chief Leader Life.
All right.
And that consists of, we have a website, it's chiefleaderlife.com. And what the organization does is collect donations for hygiene products to carry into the schools. We feel that if a kid, if he's prepared to go to school, he will learn more and be equipped to just want to learn. It's an uncomfortable feeling for you to not have your essentials, should I say, personal hygiene products to to make you feel better.
How did Chief Leader Life?
Yes.
How did that program begin? Where did it stem from? Did you create this program?
No,
You
this
and your
was
brother?
created actually from my brother. He's the CEO of this project. I just help along with some ideas. I suggested one day I had some hygiene stuff, and I suggested that, hey, well, maybe you can carry these into the school or whatever. And he got together and started doing it. No, he's the one that pushes this project forward.
And you have your hands in it, and you're right along in support of him and his mission.
Absolutely, I support that.
All right.
Absolutely.
You love Cleveland?
I love Cleveland, Ohio.
What do you love most about Cleveland, Ohio?
Actually, the Cleveland Browns is what I love most about Cleveland, Ohio.
All right.
I don't care what
Dog
nobody
pound.
say. I've been a football fan all my life, and I just can't wait to we take the streets in the parade when we win the Super Bowl here
Yes,
in Cleveland.
we
It's going to
do.
happen, you guys, one of these days.
We are spirited here in the
Yes,
city of Cleveland. What keeps you connected to the city?
What keeps me connected to the city now is my family. I have 3 children that live here. I have 7 grandchildren that go to school here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm inspired to be the best parent and grandfather that I could possibly be. And so for me to grasp this recovery process has been very important to me. 2 weeks ago, I was able to walk my daughter down the aisle, and you're talking about a special event as far as recovery goes. To be able to walk your daughter down the aisle of a marriage and be proud of that, it meant a lot to me.
Congratulations to
Thank you
her,
so
and I'm
much.
sure that was very exciting for you
Absolutely.
to be able to experience that day with her.
Yes, it was.
How has your service on the job? How is your service on the job, and your service in Chief Leader Life? How is it relevant to your purpose here in Cleveland, Ohio? What's your mission here in the city, and how does all the work that you do, how does it all tie in to your mission?
Okay. My mission is to spread joy. I read a lot of meditations, and it was talking about happiness compared to joy. And one thing it talked about is that happiness just comes about at certain times, but joy is an inside feeling that it just can't explain. It's just there. So I believe with my joy, allowing my joy to spread to others in whatever capacity it is, especially in the workforce, letting guys know that there's a way to obtain and maintain in this process. And that for me entails positive thinking. And positive thinking always create positive energy,
I agree with that.
you know.
Well, keep infecting us with joy.
Right, that's what it's about.
Let's jump right into your story.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, today marks a very special day for you.
Absolutely.
How many years of recovery has it been?
May 1st marked 5 years of recovery for me.
How do you feel today?
I feel absolutely great today. I feel that I thank God first of all for allowing me to be here today, to be able to share my story and my inspiration to others. Without God being a part of my life, I don't believe that I would have grasped this program the way I did. And so I had to put him first in all things. And once I allowed myself to allow him to actually try to live the way he wants me to live, made a difference in my recovery process.
What was your addiction?
I was addicted to alcohol, crack, you name it, all the street drugs. I done them all. Um,
What was life like growing up for you?
it was good. My mom worked. My mom raised four boys. My dad owned businesses, bars, and I thought that scene was. I thought that was the thing to do. That was to be known in places like that and be around, go to all the clubs, and people know you.
Your
I thought that was a good life.
your father owned bars.
Yes,
So is that where the addiction started?
I would say so. Just being around that type of atmosphere,
Hmm.
I would say everyone who drinks doesn't become addicted. Should I say that first and foremost? That everybody don't become addicted. I know a lot of people that socially drink and socially involve themselves in that type of atmosphere.
Well, what is addiction?
For me to describe addiction, something like a monster that takes hold of you and disallow you to be able to function as a real human being.
So, addiction versus choosing. What is the difference there? You said that not everyone who drinks, well, let's say not everyone who chooses to drink becomes addicted. So,
Mm.
what is the difference between making the decision to drink and then being addicted? Is there a difference? I hear a lot of people debating about that, saying people who are addicted, it's almost like they have is they're past the point where they're even choosing anymore. Do you agree with that? Has it taken over them so much that it's not even a matter of them choosing? It's
Trying to understand that question. If I don't start my day off with it, if I start my day off with the choice of not picking it up and not starting, uh, during the course of that day, I had a choice not to use. But if I start off using, choice, uh, sound mind, it's just gone.
that I see. I
But
see.
there's a creative part to addiction for me. I created several work habits that allowed me to maintain my addiction. I had to plug this. I was one man in the shovel, one man in a rake, depending on the season, and and one
Certainly
man
the
on a
man who can
lawnmower.
do it all, huh?
Exactly. So I started doing odd jobs and stuff. I also want to thank a friend of mine, Mr. Leon Bias, who during the time of my addiction allowed me to do a lot of odd jobs too, so that I wouldn't allow myself to involve myself, should I say, in criminal activity. So
What? Why was alcohol, crack, all the substances that you named? Why were these your choices? Is it because it was just available to you?
I don't know if they were my choices. I believe alcohol was my choice at the beginning, being raised under my, around my dad, seeing people socially drink. I thought that was just, hey, I just thought that was men did. I thought men when they got off of work, they go get a couple of beers at the bar and talk it over with the fellas, and you go home. Uh, After basketball games on Sunday morning at the Old East High, we would, pitch in for beers and stuff. Who knew that it would become addictive to me? I
So
didn't know.
you just thought it was just you thought this was a normal way of life,
A normal way of life.
and,
Yes.
and you thought you were functional. Did you ever, during your addiction or before you even recognized it as addiction, did you believe you were functional?
I was functionable enough to maintain my addiction.
Mm.
But to maintain any other life past that, no, absolutely not.
What is it you describe addiction like being a monster? What was it like for you? Is that what it was like for you? What did it physically feel like to be addicted? And mentally, what was it like?
Physically, being under the influence or addicted to the substance that I was addicted to, destroyed my body. I have ailments now today that because of my addiction, high blood pressure, slighted eye, uh, unable to see very well, uh, things like that.
During that period of your life, who was around you? You had family during the time of
Oh,
your addiction.
absolutely.
What was
Abs-
their experience like? What have they expressed to you?
Thank God today it's not like that, but I do have to share this. I remember once my daughter, and the same when I walked down the house, so I don't mind sharing it today. That she actually said, "Dad, you're a loser," and that feeling, uh, I can't even explain that feeling. How someone you raised would feel that way about you to that degree. Uh, but that's what it was like. That's the length my addiction took me to where even family members, even though they loved you,
Mm-hmm.
uh, hey, had to let you go through your. They say let the clown, let the clown be a clown until he's ready not to be a clown. Then I have a family member. I have to say I've always had support of my brothers. I have to mention a family member, my cousin Cynthia, who's always been a part of my life. Um, you talking about a true friend. Uh, I couldn't ask for nothing better, especially during my addiction and now uh, what that means to me. And thank God for the opportunity to be able to thank them today that I truly appreciate.
Well, we appreciate you coming in the studio, airing live to share your story. It's brave of you.
Yeah.
And it's putting out this message for other people who are struggling so they can be encouraged.
Yes.
Was this when your daughter said these words to you? Was that the turning point for you? Is that when you realized that you needed to change?
I wish it was the exact turning point because I can't say that was the exact turning point. That was just one of many seeds that were planted to say something needs to change how people perceive you. Because all my life I was a person of a people person. Uh, uh, I was able to be sociable. Uh, Football coach. I was respected. People called me Mr. Singleton, things like that. And now I'm called these other names: Walking Dead, Crackhead.
Mm,
Look at that drunk.
mm.
Look at that bum. Uh, so get clean, or just not drink or drug, or stay sober. I wanted recovery. Uh, and recovery for me means the book says that we recover from a seamlessly hopeless state of mind and being. So for me to recover from that part, that hopeless state,
Mm.
uh, meant everything to me.
So
Just
it was more than just the addiction, it was spiritual.
spiritual, yes, it killed you spiritually. I mean, for me, and I got a song that I always talk about. It's Donnie McClurkin's song. It says, "When you call me, you will answer." And every time I called on God for something, He was always there. And I was afraid to call on Him until I was absolutely ready this time.
Mm.
But when I called on Him, He showed up in a I can't explain how magnificent it was for me when he showed up this time. I never thought that it'd be like this. This good. My life is really good today. I'm responsible today. I have a relationship with my children, my grandchildren, my community, friends. I have real friends today. Um, Also, want to just say something. I want to thank Miss Joanne, Nurse Joanna, for introducing me to you. Let me plug her too. And
Hi,
the lady,
Auntie Joe.
yes, and a lady that works in the office, Miss Keith, that's very special to me. She's always been supportive of me. She was one of my case managers. Uh, Thank you. So.
Did you ever experience time of relapse?
Not this time.
right.
Not in these last 5 years.
All right.
But not in these last 5 years. It's been uninterrupted, not a nothing.
How many?
But there was a time when that did happen, and I remember how I tell people, that I see new. If you start going to meetings, it's gonna make a change in your life. That once you start grasping this process, it's gonna be real ugly. They say it never gets better; it always gets worse. It never gets better; it always gets worse. It's a guarantee. It's not gonna be better; it's gonna be worse. So that's what relapse did for me. It always got worse.
And I'm sorry, I have totally miss.
Go right ahead.
When were you? I'm sorry, I missed my question
That's
for
all
a
right.
second.
That's all right.
But anyways, back to it.
Uh-huh.
At what point were you confidently able to say that you believe it, that you can do this?
I think it was about 2 years in, actually.
Oh, really?
This time. Yeah. I mean, I knew I could do it because I knew what type of bloodline I come from. I knew my parents, what they instilled in me long ago. Like we say, our first sponsors was our parents. They the ones that taught us right from wrong from the beginning, believing in the God of my understanding. Today I choose to call him Jesus Christ. That's just for me. So I say that like 2 years in, I started believing more. I got the job. I moved from Eden product, and that's how this all started through a 10-year reunion through Eden, which is a housing first program for homeless people. Yes, I have been homeless as well. My addiction took me a lot of places I'm not proud of. It is what it is. And I stayed in that building for about six years or so. And the 10-year reunion was this year. And they invited a lot of people back, and Eden done a story on me. And they talked about that I was one of the guys that used that program for what it's meant to be used for, which is supposed to be housing first, give you some stability in your life from homelessness. And they believe that if you house a homeless person or addicted person, sooner or later, they will be able to do for themselves.
Giving them a leg up through the journey,
Exactly.
supporting them.
Exactly.
We were just talking about that last week about returning citizens and giving them the opportunity to be better and be productive. How can you be if you don't have housing that you need? You don't have the basic resources. So,
and that's where the products come from through Chief Leader Life. These hygiene products, we believe that if you get the kids started first thing in the morning, that's why it's a good thing for breakfast and things like that in the school. So
I have 3 last questions here before we get to your message, and if you could just briefly answer them for me. Why is positive thought key? What does the road to recovery look like, and what keeps you from going back?
Oh, like I shared, my family keeps me from going back. Things like the wedding, things like the celebration of May. They no longer have to mourn my family.
Why is positive thought key?
Positive thought. You always wake up. I wake up in the morning with prayer. First thing, my house is totally silent for a half hour. I meditate, I pray, I read some scriptures, and that's how I get my day started. That's how I incorporate the positive energy and the vibe into my life.
And now that you're here, what does recovery look like?
It looks like things like this. Look at this opportunity. I'm on YouTube. I'm at KZ Radio, a Christian radio station, telling my story with Miss Olivia. Doesn't get any better than this.
I'm so excited that you're this excited to be here. I really am.
Doesn't get any better than this.
Well, I mean, if Oprah called you, that's the next step.
That's the only way it's better.
Thank you. What is the message that you would like to send out to all our viewers out there? What would you like for them to get out of this?
Well, the message is that those may be family members or friends or spouses or whatever, children. Remember that there's hope through positive thinking. Always encourage the person that you may think is going the wrong way and give them some positive energy. Give them that positive job, because recovery is possible. I'm living proof. Recovery is possible.
Well, there you have it, Cleveland, the man who can, and he's done it, and you can too. Mr. Howard, tell the people out there, where can they reach you?
They can reach me at 216-242-7710 to start. I give people my cell phone number.
Well, that's our show for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Good Day with Olivia. I'll see you next week. I'm signing off.
Thank you.